Hi, I'm Mark from L&M Small Engine. Today I'll be working on a Craftsman 42-inch rider with a Kohler Command 15 horsepower engine in it. They brought the lawnmower over because they said it was leaking oil all over the ground. Well, I checked the dipstick, crankcase pumped full of gas. So more than likely, there's something wrong inside the carburetor, so we're going to go ahead and tear it apart. And I spun the top over by hand. It's not stuck, so that's one thing good. So anyways, hope you enjoy the video. Okay, I'm draining the crankcase, gas slash oil mixture in there. I see it has a Briggs oil filter on it. That should make no difference. But we're going to put a Kohler oil filter on it when we're done. Okay, it's two 10mm nuts. Hold that air filter base on. We got this ground wire for that main jet shutoff solenoid. And you can see in there, the gas is just running out of the carburetor there. So we're definitely gonna have to boil out that carburetor. Take the fuel line off. I'm gonna have to replace that fuel line. Fuel filter to the carburetor, replace that line because it's just mushy. Break that loose. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the main jet shut off solenoid off right here because that has heat shrink. I don't want to splice it, so we'll just take that off there. We'll take this over the bench, clear it up, and boil it out. Put a kit in there. I'm gonna take the spark plug out because there's probably gas in the cylinder too. We're gonna take this carburetor over to the bench. Okay, I cleaned the outside best I could. Don't look that bad, but there's a lot of dirt in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and boil that thing out. Get it really super nice and clean and put a new needle and seat in there and new oil gasket and stuff. Probably 20 minutes. Okay, this got out of the cleaner. And if you don't have a cleaner, the main jet's right in here. Just spray carburetor cleaner in there and make sure it shoots gas out the venturi in the carburetor. Then this rubber tip on this needle is all hard as a rock. That's supposed to be a rubber tip. So we're gonna put a new needle in there. It's for a Walbro carburetor. And the Stens number is a 615885 for these Kohler engines. And we got us a new bowl gasket. Let me go ahead and put this back together again. And always make sure that hole right there, nice and clean. That's where the gas goes into the jet. We got our bowl gasket on there. The people that own this lawnmower, they just have their minds set on ethanol, and I tell them it's bad for their small engines all the time. So we get this back together, and I'm gonna put an inline fuel shut off on it, so they have to keep on using that ethanol. If something goes bad, at least it's not gonna fill the crankcase up full of gas again, hopefully. So, all right, like I said, the fuel shut off solenoid is over there, so we're gonna put that back on before we put it on the engine. So let's head back over to the lawnmower. Okay, well, I was boiling it out. I put a new spark plug in there and turned the flywheel a few times, and gas shot out of there. So I took the air hose, blew it out real good, put the new plug in there, put a new Kohler oil filter on there. And on these older Kohlers, these Command series, they have hydraulic lifters in them, so you got to put 1030 motor oil in these. So let's go ahead and put this solenoid on. Okay. This clip for the governor rod wasn't in there all the way, so we gotta push it back in that hole, put this in there, and it clips on the rod. Then there's a split, so when you stick your rod, it goes through that split. Like so. Okay, now we gotta run the new fuel line. The other one was getting mushy. I'm gonna put the fuel filter on. And these, they have a arrow on these. Now we're gonna put a fuel shut off. There's an arrow on that too. If you're gonna keep on using that junk gas, hopefully they'll remember to shut the gas off when they're not using it. Okay, before I bolt the carburetor on, I'm gonna put gas in here. Turn the fuel on and let it sit for a while just to make sure gas ain't dripping out of the carburetor. The carburetor could be wore out because these motors were back in 1990s, like mid 1990s, I think, when they were really popular. So if that's the case, I'm probably have to order a new carburetor. That's why it's not going to be bolted up to the block so gas can go inside the motor. It's going to let it sit for a while. Make sure we fix the problem. And we're going to be using premium. We got half a tank in there. So I'm just going to let it sit for about half an hour just to make sure gas ain't leaking out of there, and we'll continue to get this done. So back in about half an hour. Okay, it's been about half an hour and our carburetor looks nice and dry. Put our ground wire on. And when I'm done with this, and make sure it runs okay, I'm gonna run up to the car wash and all that oil and stuff on the block and everything. I'm gonna wash all that off so the motor don't overheat. But I wanted to wait and make sure the motor is gonna be okay first. Okay, and I put a new air filter and pre-filter on here. Be using the Stens. It's a 100-941. Kohler made two of these triangle filters, a shorter one and a taller one. And we got our foam pre-filter. That's a 100-953. Okay, put some of my tools away and we'll see if we can't get this thing fired up. Well, it's still running. The lifter's a little bit noisy. I might take the valve cover off and check the valves. Might need to readjust the valves on it. But I was gonna tell them when they're not using it to shut that fuel off, so they keep on using ethanol. After a while, it's gonna put that tarnish in the carburetor. But anyways, appreciate you watching the video. If you like my videos, please press the like button. Please subscribe. Anyway, you guys have a good afternoon.